If you're sensitive, if you're very squeamish, if gruesome isn't quite the right word for it, but this is a pretty graphic story. Just be warned. But this is a story about what happened when the Taliban got their hands on one pregnant woman.
You know, I have been referring to the Taliban as Joe Biden's latest allies. I mean, they are talking about, they relied on the Taliban for security. They are talking about giving foreign aid to the Taliban now that they run Afghanistan. And the citizens of Afghanistan that were abandoned are now forced to live under the Taliban rule. And it is turning out to be absolutely horrific, as any rational person could have predicted. It is especially bad for women, as one Afghan family sadly found out over the weekend. Some Taliban fighters tracked down a female cop. She worked in the prison back when Afghanistan was actually run by Afghanistan citizens, not by a group of terrorists.
Warlords,
yes,
from the 7th century.
Yeah. So the Taliban entered this woman's house.
Before it was run by Joe Biden's new allies.
Yes.
That's how to put this.
Biden's
7th
cronies.
century religious warriors. Joe Biden's new allies before they were running Afghanistan. Sorry.
Yes. So the Taliban, what did you refer to them as? Warlords?
7th century barbarian warlords.
Yes. So when the warlords entered this woman's house, they tied her hands and they shot and killed her. And then they took screwdrivers and other tools and they tore her brain out of her head in front of her family. And she's also 8 months pregnant. So not only did they murder the woman, but also the baby. It is one of the most truly horrific stories that I have seen out of Afghanistan since the Taliban took over. I'd like to share with you, and warning before these pictures, they are graphic. They don't show the woman's body, but they do show the aftermath of the crime scene. I just would like to show those to give you guys an idea of just how horrific this was. As you can see, I mean, there's just blood everywhere. I believe that is her body wrapped up. I actually saw the picture of her body after she was killed, and it is one of the hardest things I've had to look at. I mean, her head was half gone. I mean, her brain was out of her head, out of her skull. And this happened in front of her family, all because she's a woman, and she worked as a cop when Afghanistan was run by the citizens. And, I'd like to tie this back to, because this is, I think, one of the most sick comparisons that has been made in the last week since the Texas abortion law. The American left has decided that, if you're a woman living in Texas, it's like living under Taliban rule due to this abortion law. When we literally know that a woman had her brain ripped out and her unborn child murdered in Afghanistan living on Taliban rule, but they're equivalent somehow.
This is actually the exact opposite of that, because we want to protect the unborn baby, not have it ripped from the womb. This is the exact opposite. The
Taliban has no care or respect for the life of babies. None whatsoever. They demonstrated that. The comparison, it makes me sick. I mean, what do you guys make of this? Is this because of Joe Biden's decision? Is this going to become the norm in Afghanistan? Is there anything we can do? What do you guys think?
I don't really know how much difference we can make at this point now that we've made, our full withdrawal. We're not there anymore. I think
we could always reinvade.
We could,
Lindsey Graham
reinvade, as Lindsey Graham said, which I don't think is necessarily the right path either. I don't know. I feel like, to your first question, is this going to become the norm? I mean, I would hope that it won't be this graphic all the time, but this idea of women and children being disrespected, being even killed at times, I think those are things that we're going to see in Afghanistan. And I wish that I could come up with an answer of how we can kind of prevent those things or help those things, but right now I'm not sure what there is we can do to help.
I guess a better way to frame the question is, were situations like this preventable? did this happen to this woman? Was there something that we could have done to help stop this?
Yeah, the same thing we've done for 20 years, occupy Afghanistan.
Right.
So that's a legitimate question. For those of you who are watching, I'm betting you're split on this. I bet a lot of you folks are thrilled that we got out of there and think, yeah, get rid of endless wars, et cetera, et cetera. I bet there are a lot of people who think, well, you know, it was unfortunate that we had to be posted over there, but we're posted lots of places that's unfortunate. We hang out in South Korea and we hang out in Germany, and essentially the two reasons that our soldiers are there are in those places is to die. That was especially the case during the Cold War in Germany. The entire point of having them there was that if the Russians struck or if the East Germans decided to do something crazy, it would immediately marshal the American sense of national pride and patriotism, because we would have lost men and women in uniform. So it's not a new idea that we would occupy an area, that we would be deployed to an area. Occupation is not something we do especially well, though it had been 18 months since a service person had been killed, servicemen had been killed in Afghanistan. And you didn't have this stuff going on writ large.